And Dave Cicchini joining us here. Coach, Ralph Rucker, he is something else. Charlie Fisher, I had to make the comment that on the one play where he scrambled and was able to get the pass into the end zone, able to score, he looked like Fran Tarkington. And your dad coached for so many years for the Minnesota Vikings and Bud Grant, and he wore jersey number 10, and Ralph Rucker for the fourth looked like him a lot tonight, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He stepped up in a huge way, and I tell you what, we got better and better as the game went on in terms of protecting him. But you're exactly right. The creativity he has when he leaves the pocket, 90% of the time, good things happen, and he made those plays that we needed today in those crucial situations.
You knew that this was going to be a difficult game. St. Francis 0-4 coming in, going to be fighting basically for their lives, and that Red Flash team kind of acted as if they were, right?
Yeah, boy, did they ever. I mean, they played an amazing football game. One-handed catches and just the plays, the throws their quarterback made. We knew they were good, but they played at a level here tonight, really in all three phases that they had not shown previously.
But the Bison able to stand up to the challenge. This Buckdale team fell behind 17-10. Could have just said, woe is me. These guys don't do that, do they?
No, there's no quitting this football team. And they knew a couple of frustrating things early on in really all three phases of the game. But we were able to overcome that adversity every single time. I think we had fewer stupid penalties maybe than we had last week or at the end of the game against VMI, but we still got to continue to work on that. But like I said, when it mattered most, when we needed to come up with a huge drive to put us up 7, we got that out of our offense. When we needed a big stop on defense at the end of the game, we got that as well. And a turnover by a guy in a hand cast, basically a ball cast, which is it's pretty cool to get an interception by someone who's basically playing with one arm.
No doubt about it. And that was one of the keys that you and I had talked about in our Geisinger pregame show, was the fact that you needed to get some turnovers. Up to this game, Bucknell had only forced one, the interception by Busen against Marist. How big was it to get the fumble and then, of course, to get that pick?
Yeah, I mean, both of them huge in the game. And, like I said, we had spoke, and St. Francis kind of been a turnover machine on special teams and offense. And today, they really only had the one drop. Of course, it was a huge drop, but they played their hearts out. And so those two that we did get were both big deal in terms of turning the momentum around in that second half and getting us the W.
The Buckdale defense has kind of been given a hard, rough rash hand, if you will, and it's been tough. But a lot of guys have been injured, and particularly going into this game. But the Buckdale defense made some huge plays tonight, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. And they did a phenomenal job of a lot of against a really talented. I mean, if you saw the athletes that they had out there, and their quarterback, like I said, he was on and playing at his best, and they're a dangerous offense when they get things going. We spoke 2 of their 4 games were against FBS opponents, so it's really hard to gauge how talented are they. But they came and played a spectacular game offensively, and we started a football game with more defensive starters on the bench than I think any game in the 7 years I've been here. So it was a combination of those two things. But again, I give our defensive guys all the credit to just, the couple of mistakes they made, they fixed them and they went out and we didn't play our best football on defense, but that's understandable because we had so many young guys that were out there. But they didn't give up. They didn't hang their head if they made a mental mistake or missed a tackle. And like I said, they rose to the occasion when we needed them most.
Mentioned about Gherkin, Brandon Biagirelli had an outstanding game, and Aaron Davis played well. But what about Schlendorf, John's younger brother James? He made some big plays today.
Yeah, absolutely. He was injured through most of camp. We saw of him prior to his injury. We knew that he was a lot like his brother, and it was great to get him back. Like I said, with a lot of the injuries that we've had, we needed to rely on a guy who, and again, James has had maybe 15 practices with his injury, and for him to go out there and play considerable snaps and make the plays that he need, that was huge for us.
Before we let you go, the offense. I mean, Ralph Rucker, the fourth, another outstanding game. But the offensive line, which also has been battling injuries, made some holes for Tariq Thomas, for Ralph, and gave Ralph more time, as you said. and got done what needed to be done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They changed what they did on defense a decent amount, played us in a lot more zone than we were anticipating. But they were doing some things up front with their defensive line, who are pretty athletic, and giving us fits in the first half running the football. It was some great adjustments by our coaching staff, great adjustments by our players going out there and going and implementing those adjustments, and our ability to move the football there in the second half, and particularly on that final drive, I think is proof of what they're made of.
I know you were down a point here in tonight's game to St. Francis, but you were tied in the last 5-6 minutes here a couple of games ago against VMI. How much do you feel like that opportunity where you ended up taking the lead and holding on to win that 35-28, how much did that experience help the offense in this situation? Kind of similar.
Yeah, I just think we're confident. We understand, particularly on offense. We've got much more veteran players on the offensive side of the ball. The confidence is always there. Every time we take the field to score, and we have the ability to do that. It was a little frustrating in the first half when we didn't get more. Not only did we not get a lot of points, but we also didn't get many opportunities. It was a very fast first half, very few possessions. Again, St. Francis did an incredible job of taking every second off that play clock. They actually got a couple of delay games because they took too much time off the play clock, but there just weren't as many offensive snaps to be had, and so that made every single one more critical. But we have talked about it a lot. It's making the plays in the fourth quarter that really are what win you not just football games but championships, and we've showed ourselves now in these last 3 weeks. Again, when the chips are down, when the momentum is with the other team, our guys are able to dig deep and make the plays needed to come up with the W. And having a similar result here, like VMI, will only make us more confident.
Got Richmond next week. This is a big win going into that game, wasn't it?
Yes, I think absolutely. Richmond's a very good team. We were kind of peeking in on them because they played earlier and kind of cheating and getting a little leg up as us as coaches, because we're always game planning and seeing what they're doing. And they played a very close one here today, but we're able to get the W. But they're going to be tough, and we need to get healthy. We need to get a bunch of these players back. We need to get some depth, and we're going to need to play at our best to stay in this championship hunt.
Well, Coach Cicchini, congratulations. What a gritty win for the Bison.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
Threw for 160 plus, rushed for 66. I mean, you wanted to win. This was senior night. You really wanted to win it tonight, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. Going into the game, we were expecting a lot of man coverage, as Coach Chick said, and they came out and did something that we weren't necessarily prepared for, or not. We weren't preparing. We were prepared for, but not in depth as we were preparing for other things. But hats off to St. Francis. They did a great job on defense, making plays. Doing a great job battling against the receivers on the perimeter, and then they did a great job in the box, stopping the run early on, and then to top it off, our offense did a great job of dealing with the adversity and ultimately persevering, through it and ultimately getting the dub.
I mentioned one unbelievable move you made for one of the touchdown passes here tonight. You reminded me of a guy who played in the NFL for so many years, a guy by the name of Fran Tarkington. Coach Cicchini's dad coached at Minnesota, where Fran Tarkington was a star. I don't even know if you've ever heard of Fran Tarkington, but man, you really were able to dance out of some really difficult situations tonight, weren't you?
Yes, sir, absolutely. And it's a good job by the guys up front and all other 10 guys on the field. It's easy for me to get the limelight or whatnot, but it takes all 11 of us out there, to provide a product out there and to ultimately get the W. But the O-line, we've been dealing with a lot of injuries, but they've been struggling and they've been working hard. They do not quit. They never quit, and that's all you can ask for as a quarterback and as a guy on the field. And in those scramble situations, our receivers do a great job of getting open and continuing with the play. It's easy for them to get all butthurt about not being able to get the ball out on time, but for them to be able to, like Josh Gary did on that 2-point play, just to keep the play alive and give me an opportunity to throw the ball was outstanding to see. And just the confidence that we're gaining from these moments is going to be huge for us down the line.
It was senior night. Were you feeling some emotion? I know you went out last year, I believe, too, but, this was it. Yeah. Did you feel some emotion?
I think a little bit, staying out there with my parents pregame, but it was honestly a little weird doing it this early in the season. We still have a lot of Patriot League games to go, so I don't think it has yet hit me, but later on it most certainly will.
How big of a win was this for this team?
I think magnificent. We portrayed that we can play complementary football, and when we play complementary football in all three phases of the game, then we're a damn good football team. We're hard to beat. So keeping with that momentum, continue to build that momentum going into this Patriot League stretch is going to be critical and huge for us, and hopefully we can continue on this ride.
Well, congratulations. One of the 20 seniors recognized prior to tonight's game. Ralph Rucker IV, great win, buddy.
Thanks, Doug.
Missed a game with the injury. You've been playing the last couple with a big club on your hand. Talk about that play. Charlie Fisher, who's just an outstanding coach and an analyst on our ESPN Plus broadcast, said, you look like the receiver. Did you almost feel that way?
I mean, yeah, going into that play, I knew, just trust my fundamentals. I knew what they were going to run. We knew this team. We game planned them all week. We just had to execute. And going to that last play, I saw that ball in the air. I knew I had to attack. I didn't care if I had one hand, two hands, no hands. I knew that ball was coming out with me.
How did you hold on to it, though? Because that football is tough to hold, even when you have two great hands.
I mean, I don't really know exactly how it happened. I knew I was there. I knew I was in the right place. My feet got me there, and it landed in my chest, and I came down with it. So
Bucknell had a great Hall of Fame coach, Tom Gadd, and he always said you only get so many bites out of the apple. You already had one of your bites taken away when you got injured and stuff. How big is it to be able to come back, even though you're not 100%, and still take a bite out of the apple?
I mean, it's always great. It's always great coming out here playing with the offense, the defense, and the special teams. I mean, this is what we live for. We live for coming back out here, getting injured and coming back. I know you can't take any play for granted. It's just one to be out there, and I knew on that last play and throughout the whole entire game that it was just that play and nothing else. So it was good to be out there with everybody.
You knew that this St. Francis team had a really good quarterback in Whitfield. Was he even better maybe than what he had shown on film prior?
I mean, we saw them on film. They had played good. They had played good opponents, and we knew they were going to be a tough team to beat. This quarterback, I mean, he executed. He threw the ball like we knew he was going to throw the ball. He ran like we knew he was going to run it. And we just had to trust all phases of our defense I trusted the D-line and the backers. Everybody needed to do their job, and we knew we'd come away with this win.
However, they did drive inside the 10-yard line. I mean, with just seconds left. What goes through your mind, or do you just focus on your fundamentals like you did on that interception?
I mean, coming into this game, we knew it could be close. We knew it could be anything, honestly. So we prepared for anything, and going into that, that's one of the things we rep all the time is that goal line defense. So we have trust in everybody, and again, it's just that technique and trusting that everybody else is going to help you out if you're down, and you're going to help everybody out when you can. So going into that last play, it was just do what we can and hope everybody else does what they can.
Before we let you go, Brad, this defense, as Coach Cicchini said, has been dealing with a lot of injuries, kind of been a lot of pressure put on the defense because of that. Is this something that you guys say we're a lot better than what we've been able to show because, injuries have made a big difference?
I mean, I feel like we're finally kind of getting settled in as a defense. Starting the year, we didn't really know what was going to happen because that first game, people went down. Second game, people went down. It just continuously happened. And now we have people who came into the year thinking they're not going to play that much that have started games, and we have people that have stepped up and played their roles to the best. So we know that no matter who is on the field now, no matter if someone drops down, we can trust that next person to execute just as good as the one before.
Well, we trust you, Brad. Congratulations. Big pick, big win for the Bison.
Thank you.